That was so great for a transition between 2019 and 2020, because recall last Sunday, which was the last Sunday of the month, we had our wonderful burning bowl ceremony, right? So everything's been released, right? You're done with it. You sure? Promise? We have a new theme for the year. It really is 2020 Spiritual Vision. And that's from our Centers for Spiritual Living, which is our international organization. And the January theme is Getting Grounded. And so getting grounded is what we are all about today, because I'm going to thump the textbook. I'm a textbook thumper. This is, of course, the bountiful book. I have gold leaf on mine, you know. You too can have that, but not mine. It was written by Ernest Holmes. Actually, much of it was taken from his lectures, and it's the textbook. We've come to know it as the textbook, and because just about every class that we teach here has some reading from the textbook itself. There are 4 introductory chapters in this book, and so each January we tend to have a review, a refreshment. It's a great time to bring new people who would like to know a little bit more about Science of Mind, and it's an awesome time to just refresh it ourselves. And you know, every minister I know says the same thing. Every year when I go through the textbook to review the basics of Science of Mind, I see that Dr. Ernest Holmes has snuck in the middle of the night and written new stuff. We see it with new eyes. It's where we are in our conscious evolution. And so Ernest Holmes says, there is that within us which partakes of the nature of the divine being. And since it partakes of the nature of the divine being, we are divine. Did you awaken this morning remembering that you were divine? You did. Okay, I like that. That's, maybe 7.5%. We are divine. It reacts to us according to our belief in it. And it is an immutable law subject to the use of the least among us. Wow. Well, we know about the perennial philosophy. The first we heard about it was from the philosopher Leibniz, and then we heard about it from Aldous Huxley. He wrote a book called The Perennial Philosophy, and it's all about what's underneath everything. What is the originating source of all life? And everyone, religionists, philosophers, regular human beings, have been seeking for centuries what's underneath everything else. And, the pre-Socratic philosophers in the 5th century, one would go, well, I think it's fire. No, well, I think it's water. It's air. It's all of the different things that they knew about in the physical world. Maybe it's earth. And then we had one of those early philosophers, 5th century BC, said, it's atoms. Atoms? Atoms. That which cannot be split, if you go to the Greek. Well, the scientific community knows what's underneath everything. How many of you used to watch Carl Sagan series? It was in the early 80s that this wonderful astronomer, Carl Sagan, was hosting, and he narrated this television series called Cosmos. You remember, right? And on the show, he thoroughly explained many science-related topics, including Earth's history, evolution, the origin of life, and the solar system. And this is what he said. This is what Carl Sagan said. We are a way for the universe to know itself. Some part of our being knows this is where we came from. We long to return. And we can, because the cosmos is also within us. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies were made in the interiors of collapsing stars. We're made of star stuff. Say it with me. We're made of star stuff. Did you wake up thinking that this morning? Not yet. So his statement sums up the fact that the carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen atoms in our bodies, as well as the atoms of the heavy elements, were created in previous generations of stars over 4.5 billion years ago. Because humans and every other animal, as well as most of the matter on Earth, contains these elements, we are literally made out of star stuff. The kids are learning that upstairs right now. I can hardly wait to see and hear what they have to say when they come back down today. Ernest Holmes, like many theologians and philosophers, realized there is one life from which you and I and all creation comes. One life. That's the ground of being. The universal presence of love, intelligent creativity, and the infinite law of mind that responds to us are all very present within our day-to-day lives. This is why we are here teaching practical tools in a spiritual environment, because it is all spirit and it is all practical. Very practical to put this into use, that there is one life, that life is God's life, that life is all there is, that life is my life now. And we must personalize it. Because there is only one life, then that life is my life now. Hermes Trismegistus said, God is an infinite sphere, the center of which is everywhere, the circumference nowhere. Stop and think about that a minute. Right where you are is the divine presence, the holy, sacred presence of the divine. Right where you are, sitting right here in your seat with you. You cannot get away from it. And it doesn't stop. There's no end to the infinite. Fully present where we are, and there's no way to measure it. It's way beyond the universes that Carl Sagan had investigated, and he knew that. And he knew that we are here to personalize the universe and to express this creative intelligence by embodying the love of God and directing the law of God. It's that simple. And what Ernest Holmes called this ground of being was the thing itself. And that was not unusual at all, because philosophers for centuries had been looking for the basis, the universal presence, and they often were seeking the thing itself. So it was not a term that Dr. Holmes made up, but it's quite real, the thing itself. So let's move out of the abstract and bring it into our personal lives and make it real. That's what we're here to do. So you've often heard me say that there's the love and the law. And Ernest Holmes said, court the presence and direct the law. Courting the presence simply means allowing ourselves, heart, mind, soul, body, everything, to be open and receptive to the divine inflow of the fountain of the infinite love and wisdom of God. Just sit quietly from time to time and be open and receptive so that you're really feeling your unity with a presence and a power that's greater than each of us and yet present within all of us. And once we are imbued with that consciousness, then we are in a place where we can speak the word, direct the law of mind, and bring beautiful experiences into our personal and communal lives. We really are here to make a difference. This is a brand new year. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there in the world. And are we ready to be the change agents to continue to stand in our truth no matter what's taking place out there? To court the presence, to feel that divine unity, and to know there is a power within us that's a power for good. It's a power of love. It is intelligent, it is wise, and is ours to use. The universe wants to show up by means of each of us. And we've been playing too small, right? So it's time for us to move into our greatness, to become the better angels that we were designed to be. to move into a vast experience of newness in this new year, really to choose what our vision will be, our 2020 vision will be for each of us, and then for all of us, which we're going to be doing quite a bit next Sunday after our celebration, and I'm excited about that. First of all, we begin with ourselves. I don't know how else to work. But with the love, we commune. And the law we work with. Love is personal. You know, there are times that I've heard people say, well, I like your teaching very much, but it sort of leaves out that fuzzy, warm feeling of having a personal God. Well, that's because you haven't learned enough about it yet, let me tell you. I am so in love with God. God is so in love with me. And the same is true with each of us. And I love to spend my time each morning just allowing myself to be filled up with, as a love sponge. It's a love sponge I get to be filled up, and then I get to squeeze it out so that other people can experience it too. Don't you like that idea? You're a love sponge, so let yourself be filled up with that divine, intimate, personal experience of the living waters of Spirit, which dwell within all of us. We just need to stop a moment from all the busyness and remember who we are. Remember we're star stuff. Remember how beloved we are. And when we fill up in that way, it's a very personal experience. What is impersonal is the law. And sometimes when people are studying this science of mind, we learn about the law, but it's not about making things happen. It's about being so aware of our unity with the creative intelligence and divine love and infinite wisdom of this universe that we know we too are designed to speak our word to make our lives better, to bring beautiful things into our lives. So the presence is very personal. The law is quite impersonal, and it will respond to anyone. Whether you're 2 or 92, red is something that is actually a basic color, as is yellow and is blue. And when we combine these colors, there is a law. It just works regardless. If we put together yellow and blue, what do we get? We get Carol's vest. Suzanne's jacket. There's another green around here. After all, don't we have an important game this afternoon? Okay, go Birds. Did you know that all of Philadelphia was lit up in green last night? Thanks for sending that, Karen. There are natural laws in this universe, and we're not going to change those. And that's fine. We want to be able to depend on them. Don't we want to depend on them? So that we know if we mix red and blue, we're going to get, yes, just like Barb's scarf. Okay? It's reliable. We can count on it. There are laws, all the laws, whether they're physical or metaphysical, are invisible, but they work. We've learned to cooperate with the law of aerodynamics so that we can get in an airplane and go somewhere, if they let us. That's another story. We have learned about, you put iron in water, what's going to happen? That is so heavy, it's going to sink, isn't it? How in the world did people figure out that we could put this huge steel ship in the water and have it go somewhere on top of the water? It boggles my mind. It's because people learned how to cooperate with the laws. Well, we're learning to cooperate with the law of mind. We're learning that as you sow, so shall you reap. My gosh, we learned that over 2,000 years ago, and we still haven't quite believed it, have we? It's true. As you sow, so shall you reap. That's a law of mind. And it's dependable. Just as whether you're a child or an adult or even a monkey, if you put certain colors together, you're going to get other colors, right? That's just the way that law works. And it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter what your gender is, what your orientation is, what your size or shape is. It doesn't matter what your education is or your social status. None of that matters when we're utilizing the law of mind. We are co-creators with the universal law of mind. Isn't that fabulous? So no matter what your walk of life or anything else, the law of mind is ready to respond to you according to your belief. That's the part we get to work on here. We work internally and we work with each other to change those inner beliefs that might be limiting or restrictive in any way. We don't believe in lack and limitation, and yet people experience it. We don't believe in dis-ease, and yet it happens. We don't believe in any of that in terms of being eternal truths that are immutable. There's the unimpeachable wholeness of the universe underlying everything else. What we learn to do is to see with 20/20 vision. We learn to see with the eye of the heart, which sees wholeness when there is an experience of infirmity. We learn to see with the eye of the heart, which sees opulence where there appears to be limitation. And it is that perception, it is that clear knowing that brings about what we're praying about. It's really that simple. And yet we do have these internal belief systems to transform, which is why I referred to this place as a transformation station. Because we're in the process of transforming and expanding and becoming the more that the universe brought us here to be. We court the presence and we direct the law. So the great news, and there's always great news, is that we are an integral part of this source. We are inseparable from it. I know people feel lost and lonely sometimes. They feel cut off from source. I don't experience the love of God. I'm not feeling my oneness. It happens. You know why? Because we happen to also be human. We are divine beings. We are developing our awareness of our true spirituality. And we're all on our own paths. And we honor each other's paths. This is true of people of all different faith traditions. We're all on a path. And we're all going at our own rate, at our own time. Let's please not compare ourselves with others. Well, I'm just not as healthy as so-and-so. No comparisons. Let's remember the unimpeachable wholeness is still a reality. And it's a matter of touching into that place where we realize that the ground of being is the presence of the divine itself and is ready to reveal itself. You have heard me say more than once, maybe even last Sunday, because I'm likely to repeat myself if I feel it's important. And this is, you don't recover your health. What do you recover? Your furniture. You can't recover it because it never went anywhere. We couldn't get healthy and whole if that wholeness were not our divine eternal reality. What we are doing is uncovering the wholeness that's already there. The same is true of abundance. We are in the process of uncovering the great good that exists for everyone. And it's a matter of changing our mind about it. Healing the old beliefs that it's good to be poor. Thank God I never grew up with that. I'm so grateful. I've always known that there's plenty for all, and I want good for everyone. And my desire for good for everyone has always had something to do with why I have always been blessed with my good. I desire good for everyone with all my heart, every sentient being. And I know that underneath, in the ground of being, there's plenty. There is plenty. We are a way for the universe to know itself. I I love Carl Sagan's statement. We are a way for the universe to know itself. You're here very much on purpose. There's something within you and me that is so beautiful, radiant, loving, wise, opulent, healthy, and whole, that wants to reveal itself. Sometimes all I think we need to do is invite it and allow it and give thanks for it. Gratitude is a wonderful way of opening up to our good. Some part of our being, says Sagan, knows where it came from. So we've all sprung from that universal ground of being. Wow! So many beautiful flowers in the garden of God. And we're all made out of God stuff. We are an inextricable part of the thing itself. And if you want some reminders about that, read the first introductory chapter of the Science of Mind textbook this week, and you'll see what I mean. Will you say with me, there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And so, my beloveds, beginneth your lesson. Thanks.